Leo was looking for a half-eaten sandwich. Instead, he found $250,000. It was 3 a.m. in downtown Chicago. Leo was a homeless veteran who had lost everything: his wife, his home, his dignity. He was starving, freezing, and invisible to the world. He lifted the heavy plastic lid of a commercial dumpster, just hoping for scraps. Maybe an apple with a few bruises. Maybe half a bagel. He moved aside a clear bag full of shredded office paper. And that's when he saw it. It didn't belong there. It was a heavy, expensive black leather duffel bag sitting right on top of the grease and coffee grounds. He pulled the zipper. It hissed open. Stacks. Bricks of $100 bills, tightly banded in purple wrappers. In 1 second, Leo went from starving to rich. $250,000 sitting in the garbage. He stared at the fortune. The steam from his breath hit the cold air. This money could buy him a house. It could buy him a new life. It could save him from the bitter cold that was slowly killing him. But as the snow began to fall around him, Leo realized two terrifying things. One, this was definitely dirty money. And two, someone was probably coming back for it. Panic set in. Leo grabbed the handle of the bag. It was agonizingly heavy against his thin, malnourished frame. He threw it over his shoulder and ran. He didn't run like a young man. He ran with the shuffling, desperate gait of someone whose joints were ruined by sleeping on concrete for 2 years. He didn't stop until he reached his spot, a small, dry alcove under the I-90 overpass, hidden behind some concrete barriers and a pile of discarded pallets. He collapsed onto his makeshift bed of cardboard and old blankets, clutching the bag to his chest like a life preserver in a hurricane. His heart was hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He waited for sirens. He waited for the sound of heavy boots. He waited for the mob enforcers he was sure were tracking this bag. But silence. Just the distant wail of the city and the hum of tires on the highway above. Leo sat up. He was safe. For now. To understand why this moment was so dangerous for Leo, you have to understand who he used to be. Most people walking past Leo on the street didn't see a person. They saw a smudge on the landscape. They saw a tattered army jacket that had seen better decades. They saw a messy gray beard and eyes kept low to the pavement. They didn't see Sergeant Leo Vance, a man who had served 2 tours overseas. A man who came home, worked 20 years as a union carpenter, paid his taxes, and loved his wife, Sarah, more than life itself. They didn't see the medical system that failed him. When Sarah got cancer, the insurance caps hit fast. The savings went first. Then the retirement fund. Then the house. The foreclosure notice came 3 weeks after her funeral. Leo had stood at her graveside a homeowner, and a month later, he was sleeping in his truck. When the truck broke down and got towed, he was on the street. In America, the fall from respectable citizen to invisible ghost is terrifyingly short. Leo had been falling for 2 years, and now sitting in the dirt, he held the parachute. Leo unzipped the bag all the way. The streetlights from the avenue filtered in, illuminating the cash. It was mesmerizing. He pulled out a single brick. It was heavy. The paper felt crisp, almost sharp against his calloused, dirty thumbs. The band read $10,000. There were 25 bricks. He hadn't eaten a hot meal in 4 days. His stomach cramped so hard it made him dizzy. The devil and the angel landed on his shoulders, and the war they fought in his mind was brutal. The devil spoke first, and it made a lot of sense.
Keep it, Leo. Look at you. You're dying out here. Society threw you away, just like someone threw this bag away. Finders keepers. That's the law of the street. Think about it, Leo. A hot shower, not just 10 minutes at the shelter, but an hour-long steam shower in a nice hotel. A warm bed with clean sheets. a steak dinner. You could get on a bus tomorrow morning, go to Florida, feel the sun on your face again. Sarah would want you to be safe, wouldn't she?
Tears froze in Leo's beard. He smelled the money. It smelled like ink and freedom. He imagined walking into a diner, ordering everything on the menu, and watching the waitress's face when he peeled off a crisp 100. He was so tired of being invisible. He was so tired of mothers pulling their children closer when he walked by. This money was instant respect. It was armor against the world. But then, in the quiet hum of the traffic, another voice spoke up. It was quieter, but harder to ignore. It sounded like his father, a steel worker who never called in sick a day in his life.
Vance men don't steal. It doesn't matter if nobody sees you. You see you. God sees you.
And then, Sarah's voice.
Leo, honey, we lost everything, but we never lost who we were. If you take that money, the system finally wins. It finally broke you.
Leo remembered the day the bank took their house. He remembered holding Sarah's hand while she cried. They had nothing left, but they still had their dignity. If he kept this money, he knew, deep in his soul, that whoever he used to be would be gone forever. He would just be a thief in a new coat. But what if it wasn't drug money? What if it was a payroll for a construction company, and 50 families weren't going to get paid this week? What if it was someone's life savings? Leo knew pain. He knew loss. The thought that he might be causing someone else that same pain made his stomach turn over. As the sun began to gray the sky over Chicago, Leo made a decision that 99% of people wouldn't have the strength to make. He stood up. His joints screamed in protest. He tried to brush the dirt off his tattered army jacket. He tucked his thin gray hair behind his ears. He picked up the heavy leather bag. He wasn't going to Florida. He started walking toward the center of the financial district, toward the towering glass and steel banks. He felt ridiculous. A scarecrow carrying a fortune. He needed to find a bathroom first. He couldn't walk into a bank or a police station looking like this. He needed to wash the grime off his face. He slipped into the lobby of a large, high-end office building before security could spot him, ducking into the men's room on the ground floor. He set the bag down near the sink. He splashed freezing cold water on his face, trying to scrub the soot from his cheeks with paper towels that felt like sandpaper. The door opened. In walked a man in a navy blue bespoke suit. Perfect hair, expensive watch, the smell of heavy, musky cologne filling the small space. Let's call him Brad. Brad looked at Leo in the mirror with pure, unfiltered disgust. He literally wrinkled his nose, as if he had stepped in something unpleasant. Jesus, Brad muttered, stepping to the sink furthest away from Leo. Can't even take a piss without having to deal with the vagrants. Hey, buddy, the shelter is 5 blocks that way. Get lost. This bathroom is for tenants. Leo didn't say anything. He just dried his face. He was used to guys like Brad. He kept his head down, focused on his mission. As Leo bent down to pick up the leather bag, his stiff, cold fingers fumbled it. The heavy bag slipped from his grip. It hit the tiled floor hard. The zipper, which Leo hadn't closed all the way after his agonizing night of indecision, popped open about 6 inches. 2 bricks of $100 bills tumbled out onto the bathroom floor. Silence. The only sound was the dripping of a faucet. Leo froze. Brad stopped drying his hands. He looked at the floor. He looked at Leo. He looked back at the floor. His arrogant sneer vanished, replaced by a look of absolute shock, followed quickly by intense, predatory greed. What the? Brad breathed. Leo quickly snatched up the bricks and jammed them back into the bag, trying to zip it shut with trembling hands. Brad stepped in front of the door, blocking the exit. He crossed his arms. He was big. Gym muscle big. Where did you get that? Brad demanded. His voice was sharp now, authoritative. None of your business, Leo grumbled, hugging the bag close. Let me out. Brad shoved him back hard. Leo stumbled, weak from hunger, and hit the tiled wall with a thud. "That's not yours," Brad snarled, stepping closer. "A filthy piece of trash like you? You stole that. That's probably from the jewelry heist uptown yesterday. I'm calling the cops." "Go ahead," Leo said, straightening up. He might have been weak, but the sergeant was waking up inside him. "Call them. That's where I'm going anyway to turn it in." Brad laughed, a cruel, barking laugh that echoed off the tiles. "Turn it in? Yeah, right. You were headed to the nearest crack house. Nobody believes a junkie." Brad's eyes were locked on the bag. He took another step closer. "Tell you what, buddy. You give me that bag, and I won't tell the cops you assaulted me in here. I'll take it to the station for you. Save you the trouble. They'll just beat you up and take it anyway." Leo saw it in Brad's eyes. Brad wasn't going to take it to the station. Brad was looking at a free $250,000 held by someone nobody would believe. Brad was going to pocket it, claim he found the bum with nothing, and buy a new Porsche. "Get out of my way," Leo said quietly. "Listen to me, you homeless freak," Brad hissed, lunging for the bag. "Give it to me." Brad grabbed the strap. Leo held on. They struggled in the small bathroom. Brad was younger, stronger, and well-fed. He ripped the bag from Leo's weakened grip, throwing Leo to the floor. Brad stood over him, panting, smirking, holding the heavy bag. "Losers lose, buddy. That's how the world works. Go find another dumpster." Brad turned to open the door, a victorious grin on his face. The door swung inward before Brad could touch the handle. Standing there were two large security guards and a very serious-looking woman in a business suit, the building manager. "Mr. Sterling," the woman said, her voice icy cold. "We've been watching on the security feed. We need you to hand over that bag to this gentleman, now." Brad turned pale. He sputtered, "What?" "No, this bum, he stole it. I was trying to secure the evidence. I was being a good citizen." "We heard the audio, Brad," one of the security guards said, stepping into the room and looming over him. "We have microphones in the lobby that pick up near the door. We heard everything. Hand it over, and step away from the veteran." Brad, looking suddenly very small in his expensive suit, handed the heavy leather bag back to Leo. Leo stood up, dusting off his knees. He took the bag. He looked at Brad, not with anger, but with pity. "You have a job," Leo said softly. "You have a suit. You probably have a warm home. And it's still not enough for you, is it?" Leo walked out of the bathroom, head held high. Brad was left standing there, staring at the floor, as the security guards escorted him out of the building. An hour later, Leo was sitting in the office of a bank manager on the 40th floor, drinking the best cup of coffee he'd ever tasted. The bag was on the desk. The police were there, and so was an elderly man, weeping openly. The money didn't belong to a drug dealer, it belonged to a community charity fund. The elderly man, Mr. Henderson, had withdrawn the cash to purchase land for a new community center in an underprivileged neighborhood, a cash transaction required by the eccentric old-school seller. Mr. Henderson had suffered a mild panic attack in the alleyway the night before, fearing he was being followed. In his confusion and anxiety, he had set the bag down next to the dumpster to catch his breath, and when a car backfired, he bolted, leaving it behind in a blind panic. When he realized what he had done, he thought his life's work was over. He thought the community center was dead. "Why?" the police captain asked Leo, looking at the homeless man with newfound respect. "You could have been halfway to Mexico by now. Why bring it back?" Leo looked at the picture of his wife he kept in his pocket, a creased, water-stained photo. "Because," Leo said, his voice thick with emotion, "I may be homeless, Captain, I may be hungry, but I am not a thief. My honor is the only thing I have left that's truly mine, and it's not for sale. Not for $250,000. The story should have ended there. A good deed done. a pat on the back, maybe a reward of a few $100. But this is America, and sometimes the good guys win big. A local news reporter caught wind of the story from one of the police officers. That night, Leo's face, still scruffy but with glowing, honest eyes, was on every television screen in Chicago. The headline read, "The Honest Homeless Veteran, the $250,000 decision." The internet did the rest. The story went viral overnight. It wasn't just the money, it was the integrity. It touched a nerve in a country tired of greed, tired of corruption, tired of guys like Brad. A GoFundMe page sprang up for Leo. The goal was set at $5,000, just to get him in a motel for a few months and buy him some clothes. By the next morning, it hit $50,000. By the end of the week, people from all over the country, people who saw their own fathers or brothers in Leo's face, had donated over $400,000. Almost double what was in the bag. But that wasn't even the best part. Money runs out, but purpose lasts forever. A man who owned a large construction firm in the suburbs saw the news. He recognized the unit patch on Leo's old army jacket. They had served in the same division, years apart. He drove downtown and found Leo. He didn't offer him charity. He offered him a job as a site foreman and a company apartment to live in until he got back on his feet. 6 months later, Leo Vance stood on the balcony of his own one-bedroom apartment. He was clean-shaven. He had gained 20 pounds of healthy weight. He was wearing a new flannel shirt that smelled like laundry detergent, not the street. He held a hot cup of coffee in hands that no longer shook from hunger. He looked out over the city that had once tried to crush him. He thought about that freezing night in the alley. He thought about the devil on his shoulder tempting him with the easy way out. He reached into his pocket and pulled out that old picture of Sarah. He kissed it gently. He had lost the battle against the system that took his home and his wife. But in that alleyway, faced with an impossible choice, Leo Vance had won the war for his soul. He proved that even when you have nothing, you always have a choice to do the right thing. And sometimes, when you least expect it, the world decides to pay you back with interest. So, the next time you feel like taking a shortcut, or the next time you think nobody is watching, remember Leo. Because the true test of character isn't what you do when the world is looking at you. It's what you do in the dark, in an alleyway, when it's just you, your conscience, and a bag full of cash.